One Coco, full basket. That's a popular proverb that we grew up hearing as Jamaicans, right? Our parents used to say it, our neighbors used to say it, everyone used to say it, all the adults used to say it, one Coco. And for those who don't know what it means typically starting small and gradually working your way up, right? One Coco. And for me, typically I have always lived by that proverb, even without knowing it, especially as it relates to money and savings, which is what I want to talk to you about this morning. Savings. As a little girl growing up, I always loved to save. I remember going to primary school, and that was in the 90s. I'm a 90s baby, and going to school, and I used to get like $20 to take to school, or $50. I think it was $50 um, for lunch. And most of the times, I wouldn't spend my money. I wouldn't spend it. I would buy something cheap for lunch and take home the rest. And I used to have this little Suppergen can. Yes, Suppergen can that I used to drop my coins in and save. And I remember this particular time I was saving, I used to get $20. I used to get $20 at that time. And I used to save, I used to carry home back like $5 or $10. And I remember this time I was saving some money. And I was so excited. I count that money every day. I count the money every day, and I remember I saved until I got about $100. I had about $100 in savings, and yes, me excited. I was all happy. I was rich. I had $100. You couldn't talk to me. I was very rich. Every day I go in and I count my silver them and I check my silver them, and I was so happy. And it took me a while before I could get that $100. Remember, I told you, I used to get $20 for lunch money, and $20 in that time or at that time could buy lunch. I could have gotten, at that time I used to love eating hot dogs. I could have gotten a hot dog, or I could have gotten lunch from the canteen. At that time, yes, I could have bought lunch, good lunch, with that $20. But anyways, I used to love saving because I used to love see the money. I don't want to spend it. So I saved my $100, and I used to come outside and I used to count my money, sit outside and count my money. And where we were living at that time, we had family members who were close by, in that area where I grew up in Christiana, Manchester. Alright, so I used to live in this community called Wattown. Right, and I had my family, a few family members who used to live very close by, and I remember I used to come out and count the money, and had little cousins who used to see me counting the money. And I remember this particular cousin who saw me counting the money, and I had the money saved under my bed. I put the money under my bed, and I guess she saw when I put the money under the bed. And one evening I went back to look for the money, and guess what? It was gone. My $100 gone. And I started to cry. I cried, I cried, I cried, I cried. My $100 that I took so long to save. I was now rich, and now I gone broke again. I cried, and long and short, I didn't get the money back. But after a while, I started saving again. I saved again, and I continued saving. And from a little girl, from as early as I can remember, as a little girl, I've always had money. I've always saved. Probably It's not a lot of money, but I had money. I remember too, in high school, I used to give my parents money when they got broke to buy stuff. Yes, as a high school girl, I remember doing that. I could find my mother needed a bus fare. I could find that bus fare and give it to her because I had that money saved. And then when she come back from work, she would give it back to me and all of that. Sometimes she not give it back. But from an early age, I've always been fascinated by savings and I've always liked money. So, I think it's only fitting to have that discussion with you about savings and money. And I mean, we all know the importance of savings, right? Because we grew up hearing that. And as a little girl, I've had that instilled in me. I think it came naturally because no one really told me that, Sharika, you needed to save. It just come naturally. And even now, as an adult, I must say that I would have digressed a little bit, because now as an adult, you have responsibilities and, you have these things called bills, and you have to be paying those things called bills. And if you don't pay them, JPS cut off your lights, cut off your water. But I've always tried to maintain that habit, so I pay the bills, I go into college, I pay the tuition and ensure that I try to put some money aside and save. And with this coronavirus that is now happening and this pandemic and watching the news and seeing where persons are being quarantined and persons coming on the television talking about having no food in the house because they can't work for a couple of days and things are rough, and it just hit home, the importance of that one cocoa, you know savings. And it is quite true and realistic that a lot of us as Jamaicans, we don't earn a lot of money. A lot of persons, my parents included, because my mother is a shop owner. She has her own little business going on. My father is a taxi operator. So persons like them, they live on daily wages. If they don't go out and earn, they don't get paid. They don't have any money. So I do understand a daily living and that a lot of persons, if they don't work, they don't have any money coming in. But I've always emphasized the importance of savings. I kind of hammer it. So for those persons who know me, know that I always talk about ensuring, no matter how it's small, put down something, you know, one cocoa full basket. You start with $50 today, you add another $50 tomorrow. That's $100. It all adds up. It's it's not how much you earn, it's how much you save, how much you put down. And there's this quote, I'm not sure who would have said it, but there is this quote that goes that money saved today is money that will save you tomorrow. And that is so true because a lot of times things happen. We'll always have emergencies. Things will always pop up, and it is important that we prepare today for that emergency that may happen tomorrow, you know, and that one cocoa, putting down that little bit today and having that little bit over time grow and increase is what will save us tomorrow. Yes, what will save us tomorrow. So don't ever underestimate the importance of starting small. You might not have the lump sum of money to start, like your friend or your co-worker would have, or whomever has. But start with what you have. Start where you are. So if you only have $1,000 that you can spare a week, start with that $1,000. Put on that $1,000. You may not want to put it in a Pt1 can like me, but open a bank account and make it a habit to put aside that $1,000 every week, no matter what I want, because things will always pop up. Let's be real. Every time you make a plan to say that, all right, I'm going to be saving this amount of money, either somebody dead, your car, something wrong with the car, something wrong with your child, something go wrong. Every time you make a plan, something goes wrong, and now that money is needed somewhere else. But you have to make that conscious decision conscious decision to ensure that you stick to the game plan. You ensure that come high or hell water, that's what the saying goes, you put aside that money, because things always will pop up. And the worst thing you want to pop up is an emergency and you don't have no money. And there's this popular thing that goes around, and it is true, especially now. And it's called an emergency plan or an emergency fund. And typically an emergency fund is a safety net of cash that is meant to be used for emergency expenses only. So I am currently working on my emergency plan or my emergency fund. So I have money that I put down every month. And even if it's just $2,000, I'm putting down that $2,000 every single month to ensure that in the event of an emergency popping up, I have money to cover that emergency. Alright, so many financial experts recommend that when you're creating an emergency fund, as I said before, emergency fund is supposed to be used to meet emergency expenses only. And I mean, come on, 5 months ago, none of us would have imagined that we would have had this current pandemic that we are in, which is now an emergency. And many persons lost their jobs, which is now an emergency. We never imagined it, but it's here. So I do hope that this experience, has taught us to be more self-reflective and has, enabled us to ensure that never again should we be caught in a situation where we are so unprepared for the next emergency. Alright, so for me, I have made a promise to myself to ensure that that emergency fund is funded every month. Every single month I put on that extra $2,000 in that account and let it stay there and let it grow. Over time, within a year, that's $24,000. May not sound like a lot in comparison to what someone else has, but start small. One Coco. Start with what you have and take your time and work your way up. And for a lot of women out there, let's be true, you have a little somebody giving you a little something. Not spend off the whole of the something. Put down something out of the something. Yes, put back something. Add that money, some of that money to that emergency fund. So if anything go wrong, you can help yourself out. And you can help out somebody else too. Put it down. Start that emergency account. And that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you about today. Savings, making savings a priority. I read something that I think it was on the Jamaica National website, and they were talking about the Jamaican gross national savings as a percentage of its gross domestic product in 2016 was 7.8%. I think the World Bank would have supported that. I would have to go back on the website to make sure, but they listed that the Jamaican gross savings as a percentage of its gross domestic product in 2016 was 7.8%. So it typically is saying that Jamaicans are not saving. We are not saving. Or if we are saving, it's not going to the bank. So maybe we are saving because a lot of us save under our mattress. So maybe you're saving the money under your mattress, which in itself is okay, because at least you're making that effort to put down that money. But in case your house go burn down, what happens? Or in my case, what if your money gets stolen? What happens? So even though the bank not giving you a lot of interest, I still think it's a little safer to put that money in the bank and let it go in the bank, because you know that money is insured. So if in case anything happens, the chances of you getting that money back is greater than if you have it in your house and it gets stolen, or fire, or any form of natural disaster, flooding. So I just want to say to you this morning, afternoon, whatever time you are able to watch this video, make savings a priority. Let us start this together. Make savings a priority, because as I said before, money saved today will be the money that you fall back on tomorrow to save. So start today. Open that emergency fund and start saving. Even if you don't give it a title. So even if you don't want to call it an emergency fund, just call it a savings account and make it a regular habit. Whether you get paid, if you're a daily earner, put the money in daily. Or even if you don't put the money in the account daily, put down the money. So if you can save $500 a day, have a little something at your house where you put in that $500 every day, and at the end of the week you go bank it. At the end of the week you take it to the bank and you put it in the account, because you know how money stay, you know how we use stay, and you know how life is. If you have that money put down in the house, something going to pop up and you're going to have to spend it. So if you're a daily earner, don't keep that money longer than a week. If you're a weekly or fortnightly earner, as you get it, just go put it. If you can automate it, so if your money come to your bank account, you can set up what they call a standing order with your bank. So as the money come in, they take it out and put it into another account, so you don't even see the money. And that's how I have started my savings. So I get paid every month. So as I get the money, I have what, as I said before, a standing order in place. So the bank take out that money and send it to another account. So I don't even see it. So that works perfect for me. So I am just saying to you, you could explore that. If you don't have that in place, where you get paid in your account and you get paid on a daily, like someone, you run a taxi, so you collect your taxi fare every day, put down that $500 every day, and at the end of the week, bank it. Don't keep it, bank it. So just let us start this. Save on a regular, because money saved today, and I cannot overemphasize it, money saved today will save us tomorrow. And that's just my 2 cents that I want to leave with you today. One Coco, full basket. So thank you so much for watching, and feel free to leave a comment on this video. Let me know, how do you save? How have you been saving? What works for you? Maybe we can help somebody else. Maybe there's someone who is trying to save, but we know the money is small, so it is hard. So if you are in a position where you struggle to save and you have worked out a formula that has worked for you, feel free to share it on this video and help somebody else out. How has it worked for you? Let us know, and let us share together, and let us start this thing going together. And thank you so much for watching the video. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. um, Leave a comment, like this video, share it with someone who may be able to take something from this video, maybe of benefit to them. Thank you so much for those who would have been doing so for the past couple of weeks since we've been on. Thank you so much to all those persons who have been a support, and for those persons who would have called me. You don't leave no comment on my video, but you would have called me, and I appreciate that. You would have shared the video. I appreciate that. So let us start this together. That one cocoa. Let us start small and gradually work our way up. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I will see you in the next video.